again, they all just have a theme. Like, they could all just kill me. Do I have free will? I don't know. Is there a point in anything? I don't know. I feel like Trish Levenseller tried to use a cheat code by giving him a cute dog and it was just not flying with me. It started making me cry, and oh my god, I bawled my eyes out for like half an hour. Hello, it's June, which means it's time for everyone's sub boxes to be bombarded with the mid-year book Freakout tag, which is what I'm here to talk about today. And I'm really excited because this is one of my favourite tags that kind of go around. I just love seeing people's kind of mid-year wrap-up, see what they've been enjoying and see what they have not been enjoying. It's just a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm just really excited to be doing this again. So the first question is the best book that I have read in 2021 so far, and to be honest with you, I really struggled to come up with an answer for this because I have read so many incredible books this year so far. Like, my 5-star ratio has been sky high, which is a good thing, it's a great thing, but it does mean I don't really have one answer. I might make a video where I kind of talk about a few of my favourites. I have quite a few and I'm not going to, talk about a lot of them because most of the books that I talk about throughout this video will be favourite books that I've read. So if I've not answered it in the first question, if I bring it up again, it's likely that it was one of my favourite books. But a couple of examples. I think the main one that stood out to me was The Name of the Wind, which I did not expect to enjoy. I've been putting off reading that book for so long and I've heard such mixed opinions on it that I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I absolutely fell in love with it and I could not stop thinking about it once I finished. It was just incredible. The storytelling was so unique and well done. The characters were great. It was just kind of everything that I wanted from a fantasy. And yeah, I don't know, I just didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I talked about that more in a video that I'll link up here, but The Name of the Wind is definitely a standout favourite. Other ones, there are so many. In terms of romance, Actor Age Eve Brown was a favourite. It was so funny, just so comforting in terms of a read. I just finished The Sword of Kaigen, that's definitely a favourite, that was so good. What else have I read that I really enjoyed? I've read a couple of Taylor Jenkins Reid books this year. I've read Daisy Jones and the Six and Malibu Rising, which were definitely favourites and I really loved them. Mark Lawrence's Book of the Ancestor trilogy, really loved that a lot. Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy, there's just so many that I feel like I could talk about for ages, which is why I might make a separate video, but yeah, just 2021 so far has been a fantastic year for reading. The next question is the best sequel that I've read so far. And I don't think I've read that many sequels, but I think for me, Actor Age Eve Brown was a standout favourite. It's right here. It was just so good. So I read Take a Hint, Dani Brown last year and I loved it. I still haven't read the first book, but I know I'll love that too. But I actually loved Eve Brown even more than I loved Dani Brown. Just, again, like I said earlier, it's really comforting read. The setting is really cosy and the B&B in the Lake District, it just makes you feel comforted and it's just a hug of a book, really. And yeah, 100%. It was funny, the romance was great, the characters were just hilarious, the discussion around autism was great. Everything about that book was just incredible and it's definitely the best sequel I've read this year. The next question is a new release that I have not read yet but I want to. And I think for this, I'm going to go with The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri, which, again, is up here. This was one of my most anticipated reads for this year, and I cannot wait to read it. There's that kind of sapphic trifecta of fantasy going around right now, which I'm excited for all three of them, and yeah, I think that's definitely a contender. I also really want to read Neon Gods by Katie Robert. I've read a few Katie Robert books this year now and I've enjoyed them, but this one, everyone just loves the Hades and Persephone trend and has been waiting for it, so that one, again, very excited to read that. The next question is my most anticipated release for the second half of 2021, and for this I'm going to go with She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, which I'm very excited to read. This comes out in July, and it was pitched as a Mulan meets The Song of Achilles, but make it sapphic, which it just sounds like everything that I've been looking for. So I'm very, very excited for this to come out. Obviously I have the arc, but I haven't read it yet. But this was the first thing that came to mind in terms of a release in the second half of 2021. I'm quite bad at keeping up with upcoming releases, so I'm sure there are a ton of answers I could have said for this, but I couldn't think of any, and this was the one that popped into my head, and I'm very excited. Then we move on to the biggest disappointment so far, and again, there was a standout answer here for me, and that's The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. I've seen this book talked about so much, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's amazing, the romance is great, the character's badass, and it's like, is it though? You know, like, I feel like everything I was promised, it didn't deliver on, for me personally. I don't know, like, I wasn't expecting a particularly vast or expansive world, you know, it's a standalone, it's YA, it's quite short, but I wanted more. I feel like we were thrown into a world with no real explanation, and we didn't really get any explanations or kind of exposition of the world and the magic and stuff, and I don't know, I just wanted more. And then the characters I didn't like either. I thought Alessandra was really annoying. Like, I don't know, I think the whole sex positive thing was really good and very much needed in the genre, so I appreciated that. I didn't necessarily like the way it was done sometimes. I think there was like one point towards the end where she literally says the phrase like, I'm an independent woman and I can do whatever. I don't know what it was exactly, but you know, a little bit cringe. But I appreciate the message nonetheless. I just didn't think she was as edgy as she tried to be. Like, I feel like the book opens with her with a lot of secrets, and like that's the conflict. But every time one of these secrets got exposed, nothing happened, which kind of rendered the whole thing a little bit pointless. Like, there was never any consequence for anything. And then the love interest, whose name I literally can't remember, I just thought he was really bland. I thought he was very cookie cutter, basic, and I'm basic, you know, I don't need a lot for me to be invested in a love interest, but I just thought he was very basic, and I feel like Trisha Levenseller tried to use a cheat code by giving him a cute dog, and it was just not flying with me. I just didn't enjoy this book really at all. It made me angry more than anything. I think I ranted for a good, like, about 50% of the way through this book. I was just ranting and ranting and ranting. It didn't deliver all that it was supposed to for me personally. So that was definitely my biggest disappointment of 2021. Then we move on to the biggest surprise of 2021 so far, and that is Exhalation by Ted Chiang. I read this on a complete whim because it's a sci-fi short story collection and something I really just had no interest in reading. But I was going to the hairdressers and I was reading a physical book at the time, and I didn't want to take a physical book, I wanted to take my Kindle. And I was like, I want something short. I don't want to start a big book while I'm already reading another big book. I don't tend to read two books at the same time. So Alex then recommended that I read this, and I was like, you know, I don't know, but it's short stories, so I can just read a couple while I was there and pick it up again whenever. I ended up falling so in love with this book. It was a little bit odd how much I loved this book. Like, it was very out of character for me, I feel like. But there are some stories in this that are just incredible. If you like Black Mirror, there are a couple of stories in here that are very Black Mirror style in terms of they give you a lot of, they make you think a lot, and there's a lot of discussion on free will and the universe in general, and it was just really good. My favourite story was The Life Cycle of Software Objects, which was just amazing. It's the longest story in the collection. I think it's like 100 pages or something. But I really just wanted it to keep going. I wanted more. It made me cry. I don't even know what to tell you. That story was kind of like Tamagotchi, but like brought to life. But like it's kind of just not as fun as it sounds. It's kind of sad, and I don't know, it was just really good, and I really do just recommend this to anyone, whether you read sci-fi or not. I think it's worth the read. And like I said, a short story collection, so like you can read a story or two, and if it's not for you, then You don't have to read the rest, but I highly recommend you do. Some of them are like a page or two, and yet they like really hit me hard. Like one of them was like 2 pages, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it because it put me in like kind of an existential crisis of, do I have free will? I don't know. Is there a point in anything? I don't know. A little bit of a crisis, but in a good way. And I just don't know. I'm just very shocked that I liked this as much as I did. And I just think everyone should read it. The next question is my favourite new author, whether that's new to me or a debut. And for that, I'm actually going to go with Joe Abercrombie. I've only read 4 of his books so far, but I've enjoyed every single one of them. I think his character work is unlike anyone I've read from before. The fantasy elements in his books are quite minimal. They're more kind of historical fiction, kind of, but like not really, with a little bit of fantasy in it. But the characters are just so detailed, so layered. None of them are good people. They're all very morally questionable. They do bad things, but you kind of end up rooting for some of them. There's so much complexity in the characters that I've just never come across with any other author before. That just has me so excited to keep reading his books. Like I said, I've only read 4 so far, but I've loved every single one of them. Particularly Best Served Cold, which I just finished, was incredible. I loved it so much. I think he's definitely my new favourite author from this year so far, and like I said, I cannot wait to continue reading his books. So the next question is my newest fictional crush, and to be honest with you, I kind of struggled to come up with an answer for this, but what I did end up learning was all my new fictional crushes are just women. The men have not been doing it for me in books this year, but the women, spectacular. So I have a few. First of all, Monza from Best Served Cold, because I just finished Best Served Cold and she's living rent-free in my head. Maybe she shouldn't be, but she kind of is. She's, you know, badass, she's on a quest for vengeance, and she's just, like, she could kill me, but that's fine. You know, that kind of vibe, which seems to be kind of a theme, to be honest with you, but we won't analyse that. Then Sister Apple from the Book of the Ancestor trilogy by Mark Lawrence, which, kind of a funny story because I talked about Red Sister in another video, which Mark Lawrence watched and watched me talk about my crush on his red-headed nun with poisoning skills for like 5 minutes. Just me just simping over this nun, and he watched it and he made a reference to it in a tweet, which now he knows, but that's okay. One of the funniest things that happened to me this year. But yeah, Sister Apple, she's Poisoner, that's what I call her, which you're already off on a good foot in. She's just, I don't know, she just does things for me. I don't know what else to say to you. If you've read the books, you'll understand. But Sister Apple just lives rent-free in my head, apparently, because she just hasn't left, despite me finishing this trilogy like 3 months ago. She's still here. She's still here in my heart, you know? And then another one that jumped into my head was Harrow from Gideon the Ninth. Again, they all just have a theme. Like, they could all just kill me. Which might say something about me. I don't know. But Harrow, you know, necromancer. She's my goth necromancer girlfriend that I just love a lot. And yeah, I don't know. Just my fictional crushes this year seem to be following a theme, you know? But what are you gonna do? The next question is my newest favourite character, and actually, a fun fact is I filmed this video once before, and I'm actually refilming it because I just finished a book, and I have a new favourite character, and that is Misaki from The Sword of Kaigen, which, can I just point out, is an incredible book, and I think everyone should read it. Where is it? Here it is. This book. If this is not on your TBR, or if you haven't read it yet, please do. It is incredible. It is a Japanese-inspired fantasy with magic that's kind of like Avatar, Last Airbender-y elemental magic. So good. So good. And one of the main characters is Misaki, who is a mother. She's kind of an older woman, which I love because it isn't just, you know, your typical teenage heroine who, you know, the chosen one kind of thing. This is a mother with like 4 kids with a history that is kind of secret that she keeps under wraps. So she lives in a culture now where, you know, women are housewives, etc., etc. You know, she just births children and she cooks and she cleans, and that's just not who she was before. So she used to, you know, fight and do all these things that she just can't do anymore, which is why her past is such a secret. And her getting to just know her and her journey into like, becoming a mother, her feelings while becoming a mother, there's just a lot to Misaki's character that make her absolutely my newest favourite character. She is incredible. And if there's any reason for you to read this book, it is because of Misaki. And one of the other main characters is her oldest son, Mamoru, who... I don't want to say too much because I just feel like you need to read this book. It is just incredible, action-packed. Yeah, Misaki, she's just... I miss her already, and I finished this book like 2 days ago. The next question is a book that made me cry. This is a funny one because if you know me, you know I cry at books like a lot, and this is just a part of my personality that I can't stop. Like, I just cry so much, whether it's happy or sad, it doesn't matter, I will cry. So there's just like a bunch, like The Sword of Kaigen, I cried at that. Best Served Cold, I cried in Exhalation, I cried in every book in the first Law trilogy, I'm pretty sure. I cried with the Book of the Ancestor, with the last book. I cried of If We Were Villains, but the one that really made me cry the most was Gideon the Ninth. Because nobody told me this book would make me cry. I had no warning. I just thought this book was a fun necromancer, fun time, good vibes all around. Well, it was until it started making me cry, and oh my god, I bawled my eyes out for like half an hour, and it's just like didn't stop for a long time. And I'm literally too scared to read the next book because I've been fooled once. And I cannot be taken in like that again because that was a rough time. But it was definitely what made me cry the most. But also you should all read it. If you haven't read Gideon the Ninth yet, you should. Like, what are you waiting for? Please read Gideon the Ninth. Then a book that made me happy is, I have a couple, but Eve Brown, again, just made me so happy, filled me with all the serotonin. But recently I read the latest Heartstopper volume 4, and it just, Heartstopper always is a comfort read and will always bring a smile to my face, despite the fact that it does, especially in the later volumes, touch on a lot of darker topics in terms of mental health. They always have such a positive message and just make me, just fill me with joy, you know, and everyone should read Heartstopper, is what I'm trying to tell you. Because they're so quick to read, they will guaranteed make you happy, and they're just the best time. Next question is the most beautiful book that I have bought or received this year, and I think actually I'm going to go with the only Fairy Loot book that I have. I got one Fairy Loot box and that was it, because I usually get a Lumicrate every month, but I got the box that had Law by Alexandra Bracken, and this book is beautiful, just absolutely stunning. It has the like snake edges, but more importantly, it has these snake edges, which are just beautiful. Like, I cannot handle it. But then also inside the book, the actual foil hardcover itself is also just beautiful. Like, look at it. It's so shiny. It has, you know, a little quote on the side. Again, foiling on the back, and just this book, just like all together, without the dust cover on it, is just beautiful, and I love it a lot. And I haven't actually read this yet, but I'm just happy to have her on my shelf, to be honest with you. But another one I also really liked was the Malibu Rising hardcover, because I actually really like this cover anyway. I don't like the US one, but I think the UK one is really nice. But the actual hardcover itself is this sort of turquoisey blue colour, which is just really pretty. And I don't have a hardcover this colour, so I'm very happy with it. And I have a lot of very pretty books now. And then finally is books I want to read by the end of this year, which there are many, probably too many. But mainly the one I'm planning on starting pretty soon is The Wheel of Time. This behemoth of a series 14 books, plus a prequel, 15 books, and they're all kind of chunky and scary, but I'm excited to actually get started with this because it's obviously a massively famous series. The Amazon TV show will come out at some point, and I don't know, I'm very excited about that. I also still need to read Miss Bonita 2, which I know I've been saying I'm going to read for like ages, and I don't know how I haven't read it yet, but I don't know. And I also want to catch up on Abercrombie's works by the time his newest book comes out, which is in September. I just have so much I want to read. Like, there's just too much. There's so much. So much. And I'm excited about all of it. And that brings us to the end of the mid-year book Freakout tag for 2021. I can't believe we're already halfway through this year, which it's probably been a bit of a crisis, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it's okay. We'll move on from that. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you had fun with this. I don't have anyone specific to tag, mainly because I think everyone I know is going to do this anyway. But I hope you enjoyed this. It was a really fun time, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.